They were Hollywood's brightest stars, the legends who once defined an era. But time, not tragedy, took them away. Tonight, we will revisit 15 beloved actors who lived long enough to see their own legacy and left behind stories so timeless, they refused to fade with the lights. And number 1 is Kirk Douglas. In February of the year 2020, the world quietly learned that one of Hollywood's last golden icons had passed away in his Los Angeles home at the remarkable age of 103. The news spread like a soft echo through every corner of the film industry, not with shock, but with reverence. He had lived long enough to watch the rise and fall of entire generations of actors who once called him their hero. His passing marked the true end of an era that began when Hollywood was still filmed in black and white. Born in the small town of Amsterdam, New York, Kirk Douglas rose from poverty to become one of the most commanding figures of classic cinema. In the 1940s and 50s, he embodied ambition, rage, and charisma in films that defined the post-war screen. His breakthrough came with Champion, where his fierce portrayal of a ruthless boxer earned him his first Academy Award nomination. But it was his role as Spartacus that cemented his legend. With his jaw set and his eyes blazing with defiance, he became the symbol of rebellion both on and off the screen. By the time he reached his later years, Douglas had already survived the changing tides of Hollywood. He built his own production company when studios still ruled like monarchs. He also broke barriers by publicly defying the Hollywood blacklist, a decision that would restore the name of screenwriter Dalton Trumbo to the credits of Spartacus. Many consider that act one of the most courageous moments in the industry's history. As decades passed, Kirk Douglas continued to appear in films, his voice gravelly but strong, his spirit unbroken. He wrote books, attended awards ceremonies, and watched his son Michael Douglas carry the family name into a new century. Even after suffering a debilitating stroke in the late 1990s, he returned to the spotlight to deliver speeches about perseverance and gratitude. When he finally departed in 2020, tributes flooded in from presidents, actors, and directors alike. They did not mourn him with tears, but with admiration. Kirk Douglas had not simply been a movie star. He had been the embodiment of old Hollywood's grit, drive, and unyielding will to shine until the very end. And number 2 is Sidney Poitier. In January of the year 2022, news broke that the first black actor ever to win an Academy Award for Best Actor had peacefully passed away in his home in Beverly Hills. The world paused, not just to grieve, but to remember a man who had changed the very shape of Hollywood. His departure at the age of 94 marked the end of a voice that had once broken through barriers of prejudice and silence. Born in Miami, but raised in the Bahamas, Sidney Poitier arrived in the United States with little more than determination. In the early years of his career, he faced rejection after rejection because of his accent and background. Yet, through relentless effort, he mastered the American stage and found his way to the silver screen. His performance in The Defiant Ones earned him his first Academy Award nomination, but it was Lilies of the Field that made history. When his name was called on Oscar night in 1964, it was not just a victory for him, but for every actor of color who had ever been told that Hollywood had no place for them. Throughout the 60s, Poitier became the moral center of American cinema. He was elegant, measured, and always dignified. Films like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, In the Heat of the Night, and To Sir, with Love made him both a movie star and a symbol of cultural change. He carried himself with quiet strength, refusing to play roles that reinforced stereotypes. His presence forced audiences to confront the realities of race and respect in a way no one else could at that time. As the decades turned, Poitier transitioned into directing and diplomacy. He became an ambassador for the Bahamas, representing his country with the same grace he once brought to film. Awards, honorary degrees, and tributes followed him everywhere, but he remained modest, always crediting faith, family, and integrity as the pillars of his long life. When his passing was announced, actors young and old spoke of how his courage had paved their paths. They remembered not only his performances, but the way he carried himself with pride, gentleness, and an unshakable belief in human equality. Which of his roles has stayed in your heart the most? Tell us below, and let us honor him together through remembrance. And number 3 is Bob Hope. In July of the year 2003, Hollywood lost one of its longest-running entertainers when Bob Hope passed away at the age of 100 in his California home. The moment carried a strange stillness, for he had been part of American life for nearly the entire 20th century. His career had spanned vaudeville stages, radio waves, movie screens, and television sets, reaching audiences in a way few performers ever could. Born in London and raised in Cleveland, Hope began his career as a dancer and comedian before finding fame on radio in the 1930s. His quick wit, impeccable timing, and signature delivery made him one of the most beloved voices during difficult years of depression and war. When he moved into film, his charm translated effortlessly to the screen. Alongside Bing Crosby and Dorothy Lamour, he starred in the Road to Film series, a mix of humor, adventure, and song that became a box office staple through the 40s and 50s. During World War II, Bob Hope's legacy took on a deeper meaning. He became the face of entertainment for American troops overseas, performing countless shows across Europe, Africa, and the Pacific. Generations of soldiers would later say that hearing his jokes and seeing his smile gave him a piece of home when everything else felt far away. His dedication to those performances continued through later wars, earning him the affectionate title of America's Entertainer. As decades passed, Hope adapted with the times, appearing on television specials that drew millions of viewers. He hosted the Academy Awards 19 times, setting a record that still stands. His comedic style, clever but wholesome, became part of the American cultural rhythm. Behind the humor, he was also known for his philanthropy, supporting hospitals, veterans, and numerous charitable causes. By the time of his centennial celebration, Bob Hope had already become a living symbol of endurance and optimism. Presidents and entertainers alike lined up to honor him. When he finally left the stage for good in 2003, tributes poured in from around the world. They remembered not only his laughter, but his kindness, professionalism, and the joy he brought to every generation. For many, Bob Hope was not just a comedian. He was the spirit of an entire century. At number 4 is George Burns. In March of the year 1996, the entertainment world said goodbye to George Burns, who passed away in Beverly Hills just weeks after celebrating his 100th birthday. The news felt almost unreal because, for decades, Burns had seemed ageless, a symbol of wit and resilience who had outlasted nearly everyone from Hollywood's earliest years. His cigar, his arched eyebrows, and that gravelly voice had become trademarks, recognized far beyond the comedy clubs where he began. Born Nathan Birnbaum in New York City, he started performing in vaudeville at the turn of the century, long before film had even found its sound. By the 1920s, he had teamed up with Gracie Allen, forming one of the most successful comedy duos in show business. Their chemistry was effortless, with Burns playing the calm straight man and Allen delivering lines of dazzling absurdity. When they married in real life, the act only grew stronger. Together, they made the transition from radio to film and later to television, starring in the George Burns and Gracie Allen Show, which became a household favorite throughout the 1950s. After Gracie's passing, many thought George would quietly retire, but his story was far from over. In his 80s, he achieved an unexpected career revival, winning an Academy Award for The Sunshine Boys and later starring in the hit comedy Oh, God, opposite John Denver. His return to the big screen transformed him into an unlikely elder statesman of humor. He became proof that talent and timing could survive the passing of time itself. Even into his 90s, Burns kept performing, often joking that he had booked shows for his 100th birthday. He was still appearing on talk shows, delivering one-liners with perfect precision and maintaining the same stage presence that had carried him for nearly a century. His secret, he often said, was to keep laughing and keep working. When George Burns finally took his last bow in 1996, the world didn't just lose a comedian, it lost the last living bridge between vaudeville and modern entertainment. His humor had aged like fine wine, gentle yet sharp, timeless yet deeply human. Through his life, he reminded audiences that laughter, above all, could be the longest-lasting art of them all. And number 5 is Doris Day. In May of the year 2019, the golden voice of mid-century America fell silent when Doris Day passed away peacefully at her home in Carmel Valley, California, at the age of 97. The announcement came from her animal foundation, and within hours, tributes poured in from around the world. To many, she had been more than a movie star or singer. She was a symbol of joy, optimism, and the unshakable charm of an era that seemed forever sunny. Born Doris Mary Kappelhoff in Cincinnati, she first dreamed of becoming a dancer until an accident as a teenager redirected her toward music. Her singing career began on local radio before she joined the Les Brown Orchestra, where her rendition of Sentimental Journey became an anthem for soldiers returning home from World War II. The song made her a household name and set the stage for a film career that would define post-war Hollywood. Her debut in Romance on the High Seas revealed not just a bright voice, but a natural comedic warmth that audiences immediately adored. Through the 1950s and early 60s, Doris Day became the queen of romantic comedy, starring opposite leading men like Rock Hudson and James Stewart. Films such as Pillow Talk, Calamity Jane, and The Man Who Knew Too Much showcased her versatility as both a singer and actress. Her rendition of Que Sera, Sarah, won an Academy Award and became a timeless tune of reassurance for generations. Despite her radiant image, Day's personal life was marked by challenges. She endured financial losses and personal heartbreak, but maintained a positive outlook that endeared her even more to fans. In later years, she withdrew from Hollywood's spotlight to focus on her lifelong passion, animal welfare. Through her foundation, she became one of America's earliest celebrity advocates for animal rights, dedicating her time and resources to rescue and protection efforts. When she passed away in 2019, Hollywood mourned not just an actress, but the spirit of an entire era. Her voice still floated through old films and radios, a reminder of gentler days. Doris Day's laughter, kindness, and golden melodies ensured that even after she was gone, her presence would continue to brighten hearts across the world. At number 6 is Gregory Peck. In June of the year 2003, the world lost one of its most respected and dignified figures when Gregory Peck passed away peacefully at his home in Los Angeles at the age of 87. The announcement came quietly, but its impact echoed through generations of film lovers who had grown up watching his calm strength and unwavering moral presence on screen. He had been the very image of integrity, both as an actor and as a man. Born in La Jolla, California, Gregory Peck studied pre-medicine before discovering his passion for acting while attending the University of California at Berkeley. His tall frame and commanding voice soon drew attention, leading him to the stage and eventually to Hollywood during the 1940s. Within just a few years, he became one of the era's most admired leading men, earning multiple Academy Award nominations. His defining moment came in 1962 with To Kill a Mockingbird, where he portrayed the quiet courage of lawyer Atticus Finch. The role earned him an Academy Award and became one of the most beloved performances in film history. Audiences saw in him a reflection of justice, compassion, and decency at a time when America itself was struggling with questions of equality and conscience. The image of Peck standing in that small Southern courtroom, calm yet firm, remains one of cinema's most powerful testaments to moral courage. Beyond his acting, Peck was known for his humanitarian work and deep sense of social responsibility. He supported civil rights, opposed censorship, and used his influence to promote causes that sought fairness and understanding. Colleagues often spoke of his humility and warmth, qualities that stood in contrast to the grandeur of his fame. In his later years, he continued to appear in selected films, television specials, and public readings, maintaining the grace and poise that had defined his career. When he passed away, the tributes from fellow actors and world leaders described him as a man who played heroes because he truly was one. Gregory Peck left behind more than a film legacy. He left an example of quiet strength and conscience that continues to inspire. Which of his performances do you believe captured his heart the most? Share your thoughts below and let his memory live through your words. At number 7 is Angela Lansbury. In October of the year 2022, the curtain finally fell on one of Hollywood and Broadway's most enduring stars when Angela Lansbury passed away peacefully in her sleep at her home in Los Angeles. The news spread around the world, stirring memories of her decades-long career that had touched every generation, from classic film lovers to children who grew up with her voice in animated tales. Born in London in 1925, Lansbury fled wartime England with her family and arrived in the United States determined to pursue acting. At only 19 years old, she earned an Academy Award nomination for her film debut in Gaslight, where her performance as a cunning maid revealed extraordinary maturity for her age. She followed it with another nomination for The Picture of Dorian Gray, confirming that a remarkable new talent had arrived. Her film career spanned genres, from musical comedy to mystery and drama. She appeared in The Manchurian Candidate, playing one of cinema's most chilling maternal figures, a performance that critics still regard as one of the most memorable in film history. But it was her work on stage that truly defined her legacy. Through Broadway hits like Gypsy and Sweeney Todd, she became a legend of musical theater, winning multiple Tony Awards and earning a reputation as a performer of unmatched energy and precision. For younger audiences, she became an icon of kindness and warmth through television and animation. Her portrayal of Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote, made her a familiar presence in living rooms around the world for more than a decade. She also gave voice to Mrs. Potts in Disney's Beauty and the Beast, her gentle song tale as old as time, becoming an instant classic. In her later years, Lansbury continued to act on stage and screen, appearing in films and receiving honors from Britain, the United States, and the theater community she so deeply loved. When she passed away, tributes described her as both a grand dame and a humble soul, equally beloved by her peers and her fans. Angela Lansbury's legacy lives on through every note, every word, and every quiet smile she left behind. At number 8 is Olivia de Havilland. In July of the year 2020, Hollywood bid farewell to one of its last remaining links to the Golden Age when Olivia de Havilland passed away peacefully in her Paris home at the age of 104. Her departure closed a chapter that began nearly a century earlier when she first stepped onto a movie set during an age of glamour, studio power, and the birth of modern stardom. Born in Tokyo to British parents in 1916, de Havilland moved to California as a child and quickly found her way to acting. Her career took off in the 1930s when she was cast opposite Errol Flynn in a series of adventure films, beginning with Captain Blood. The pair became one of the screen's most beloved duos, lighting up films like The Adventures of Robin Hood and The Charge of the Light Brigade. Her poise, grace, and luminous beauty made her a symbol of classic Hollywood femininity. Her defining moment arrived in 1939 with Gone with the Wind, in which she portrayed the gentle and compassionate Melanie Hamilton. The performance earned her an Academy Award nomination and secured her place among the most admired actresses of her generation. Yet behind her elegance was remarkable determination. When she challenged the studio system in the 1940s by refusing restrictive contracts, she won a landmark legal case that granted actors greater creative freedom. That victory became known as the de Havilland decision and permanently reshaped Hollywood labor laws. Throughout the following decades, she continued to deliver acclaimed performances, winning 2 Academy Awards for To Each His Own and The Heiress. Her ability to balance strength with vulnerability made her one of the few actresses who could evolve gracefully with age, adapting to the changing styles of cinema without losing authenticity. In her later years, Olivia de Havilland lived quietly in Paris, far from the spotlight, but never forgotten. When she passed away, tributes celebrated not only her talent, but her courage and intelligence. She had lived long enough to see the industry she helped change become global and diverse. Her name remains a symbol of endurance, artistry, and dignity, reminding the world that true legends never fade. They simply become timeless. At number 9 is Mickey Rooney. In April of the year 2014, the curtain finally closed on the life of one of Hollywood's most enduring performers when Mickey Rooney passed away at his home in Studio City, California, at the age of 93. The announcement felt like the end of an entire era, for Rooney's career had stretched across silent films, black and white classics, color musicals, and even television. He was a man whose name had been known to audiences for nearly a century. Born Joseph Ewell, Jr. in Brooklyn in 1920, he was already performing on stage before he could read. By the time he was a teenager, his energy and mischievous charm made him a sensation. At Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, he became the face of youthful optimism through the Andy Hardy series, which captured the heart of Depression-era America. His expressive face, lively humor, and emotional sincerity made him one of the highest-paid stars of the late 1930s and early 40s. During World War II, he entertained troops and continued to appear in films that balance comedy and heart. After the war, he successfully transitioned to more mature roles, including performances in The Bold and the Brave and Requiem for a Heavyweight, earning praise for his dramatic ability. His work in National Velvet with a young Elizabeth Taylor also became a beloved classic, showing his range beyond teenage comedy. Though his career faced ups and downs in later decades, Rooney's drive never faded. He appeared in television, theater, and even modern films like Night at the Museum, introducing himself to new generations of viewers. Behind the bright smile and fast talk was a man who had lived through every change in Hollywood's long history, from the first talkies to digital film. When he passed away in 2014, tributes came from stars who had grown up watching him. They remembered a performer who could make audiences laugh, cry, and believe, all within a single scene. Mickey Rooney's career was not simply long. It was a living archive of American entertainment itself. Few actors could claim to have worked in 10 decades of film, and even fewer could leave behind such a legacy of joy, versatility, and endless vitality. At number 10 is Ernest Borgnine. In July of the year 2012, Hollywood lost one of its most beloved character actors when Ernest Borgnine passed away in Los Angeles at the age of 95. His death marked the end of a career that had spanned more than 6 decades, from black and white war dramas to modern television. With a spirit that never seemed to dim, born Ephraim Borgnino in Hamden, Connecticut, in 1917, he served in the United States Navy for nearly a decade before turning to acting. His rugged face and distinctive voice made him a natural fit for tough, working-class roles. Yet his greatest strength was his ability to find tenderness within rough exteriors. In 1955, he won the Academy Award for Best Actor for Marty, portraying a lonely butcher searching for love. The performance was quiet, honest, and deeply human, showing that heroism could be found in everyday people. Borgnine went on to appear in a wide range of films, including From Here to Eternity, The Dirty Dozen, The Wild Bunch, and Escape from New York. He thrived in roles that blended grit and warmth, embodying the American everyman with authenticity. During the 1960s, he found a new audience on television through the hit series McHale's Navy, where his comedic timing and charm made him a household favorite. As he aged, Borgnine never slowed down. He continued acting well into his 90s, lending his voice to animated shows and appearing in independent films. Colleagues often described him as endlessly positive, showing up on set with the same enthusiasm he had carried since his earliest days in Hollywood. He often said that acting was not just a career, it was the joy of his life. When news of his passing spread in 2012, fellow actors remembered him as both a mentor and a friend. He had seen Hollywood transform across generations and managed to stay relevant through all of them. Ernest Borgnine's smile, laughter, and undeniable sincerity reminded the world that greatness in film does not always come from glamour. It often comes from heart. Which of his roles left the deepest impression on you? Share your thoughts below and keep his memory alive through your favorite scene. At number 11 is Tony Curtis. In September of the year 2010, Hollywood lost one of its most charismatic leading men when Tony Curtis passed away at his home in Henderson, Nevada, at the age of 85. The news of his departure stirred a deep wave of nostalgia, as fans remembered the man whose charm and quick wit had made him one of the brightest stars of the silver screen during the mid-20th century. Born Bernard Schwartz in the Bronx in 1925, Curtis grew up in a working-class family and discovered acting after serving in the United States Navy during World War II. With striking good looks and sharp comedic instincts, he was quickly signed by Universal Pictures. During the 1950s, he became one of the studio's most bankable stars, appearing in films that showcased his range, from swashbuckling adventures to gripping dramas. His breakthrough came with Sweet Smell of Success, where he played a morally conflicted press agent opposite Burt Lancaster. The performance proved he could move beyond his matinee idol image. Shortly after, his comedic timing reached perfection in Some Like It Hot, acting alongside Jack Lemmon and Marilyn Monroe. The film became a cultural touchstone and remains one of the greatest comedies ever made. Curtis's ability to balance humor, vulnerability, and charisma earned him lasting admiration from both critics and audiences. In 1958, his dramatic performance in The Defiant Ones earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor, solidifying his reputation as more than just a heartthrob. Over the following decades, he continued to reinvent himself, appearing in films such as Spartacus and later turning to television roles that showcased his versatility. Off-screen, Curtis lived a life as colorful as his filmography. He was known for his wit, his love of art, and his resilience in the face of Hollywood's changing landscape. In his later years, he became an accomplished painter, with his artwork exhibited internationally. When he passed away in 2010, tributes poured in from around the world, celebrating a performer who had brought sophistication and sparkle to every role he played. Tony Curtis left behind not just films, but an enduring reminder of a time when Hollywood shimmered with style, confidence, and the endless promise of reinvention. At number 12 is Maureen O'Hara. In October of the year 2015, the film world said goodbye to one of its most iconic red-haired legends when Maureen O'Hara passed away peacefully at her home in Boise, Idaho, at the age of 95. The news brought a wave of affection and remembrance from fans and colleagues who saw in her the strength, wit, and fiery spirit that had defined an entire era of Hollywood filmmaking. Born Maureen Fitzsimons in Dublin, Ireland, in 1920, she trained in drama from a young age and was discovered by the famed actor Charles Laughton, who helped bring her to Hollywood. Her first major role came in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, where her beauty and emotional depth drew critical praise. During the 1940s and 50s, she became one of the era's most recognizable leading ladies, known for her commanding presence and natural poise. O'Hara's partnership with John Wayne became the stuff of movie legend. Their on-screen chemistry in films such as The Quiet Man, Rio Grande, and McLintock created some of the most memorable romantic and dramatic moments in classic cinema. She often played strong, independent women who could stand toe-to-toe with Wayne's rugged cowboys, earning her the title of the Queen of Technicolor for her vivid beauty and passionate performances. Beyond her fiery screen image, O'Hara was admired for her intelligence and integrity. She resisted the shallow roles often offered to actresses of her time and fought for characters that reflected dignity and depth. Her work in Miracle on 34th Street showcased her softer, maternal side and remains one of the most beloved Christmas films ever made. In her later years, she stepped away from the spotlight to live quietly with her family, but continued to receive honors for her remarkable contribution to cinema. In 2014, she was awarded an honorary Academy Award for Lifetime Achievement, a recognition that celebrated more than 6 decades of artistry. When Maureen O'Hara passed away in 2015, the tribute spoke of her courage, grace, and unmatched presence. She had carried the essence of old Hollywood, elegant yet untamed, refined yet fiercely human. Her legacy endures as a reminder of the power of spirit, passion, and timeless storytelling. At number 13 is Carl Reiner. In June of the year 2020, the entertainment industry lost one of its greatest creative minds when Carl Reiner passed away at his home in Beverly Hills at the age of 98. His passing marked the end of a long life dedicated to making people laugh, shaping the course of American comedy for more than 7 decades. Born in the Bronx in 1922, Reiner began his career in theater before joining the Army Air Forces during World War II. After the war, he pursued acting and writing, quickly earning recognition for his sharp wit and warm humor. His big break came on Your Show of Shows in the 1950s, where he worked alongside comedy legends such as Sid Caesar and Mel Brooks. The show became a training ground for what would later define television comedy. In the early 1960s, Reiner created The Dick Van Dyke Show, one of the most influential sitcoms in television history. As both writer and occasional performer, he helped craft stories that combined everyday family life with clever humor and genuine emotion. The series earned numerous awards and set a standard for comedy writing that continues to inspire television creators today. Reiner's partnership with Mel Brooks became a beloved fixture of American entertainment. Together, they created The 2,000-Year-Old Man, a comedy routine that became a cultural phenomenon. His ability to balance intelligence and silliness made him a figure of admiration among both comedians and audiences. As the years went on, Reiner remained active in film and television, directing hits such as The Jerk and Oh God. His work influenced generations of writers, actors, and directors. In later life, he became a cherished elder statesman of comedy, often appearing alongside his close friend Mel Brooks in interviews and documentaries reflecting on their shared history. When news of his passing arrived, tributes poured in from across the entertainment world. Younger comedians credited him with defining the rhythm and heart of American humor. He was remembered not just as a performer, but as a mentor, a storyteller, and a man who never stopped finding joy in creativity. Carl Reiner's laughter lives on, echoing through every line of dialogue and every smile he helped bring to the world. At number 14 is Eli Wallach. In June of the year 2014, the film world said farewell to one of its most versatile and enduring actors when Eli Wallach passed away in New York City at the age of 98. His career had lasted for more than 6 decades, a span that saw him move effortlessly between stage, film, and television, leaving behind performances that became part of cinematic history. Born in Brooklyn in 1915 to Polish Jewish immigrants, Wallach studied at the University of Texas and later trained at the Neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater in New York. His early career was rooted in stage work, and he soon became one of the most respected actors in the New York theater scene. In 1951, he won a Tony Award for his role in The Rose Tattoo, a Tennessee Williams play that brought him national recognition. Hollywood came calling soon after, and Wallach made his film debut in Baby Doll in 1956. Directed by Elia Kazan, his performance as a manipulative seducer drew critical acclaim and controversy, setting the tone for a film career defined by daring and depth. Over the following decades, he became known for playing complex, often morally ambiguous characters. In The Magnificent Seven, he was the cunning bandit leader Calvera, and in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, he created one of cinema's most memorable anti-heroes as Tuco, the unpredictable outlaw who brought humor and humanity to the spaghetti western genre. Wallach's work extended far beyond westerns and dramas. He appeared in comedies, thrillers, and even modern romantic films like The Holiday, where his warmth and humor captivated new audiences. Off-screen, he was admired for his intellect, humility, and lifelong commitment to the craft of acting. He often said that his greatest reward was simply the chance to keep working. When he passed away in 2014, filmmakers and actors from every generation paid tribute to his legacy. He was remembered as an artist who never chased fame, but instead devoted himself to the truth within each character he played. Eli Wallach's presence on screen, sharp, unpredictable, and deeply human, remains a reminder that great acting is timeless and that passion for the craft can outlast a lifetime. At number 15 is Norman Lloyd. In May of the year 2021, Hollywood quietly lost one of its last living links to the earliest days of film and television when Norman Lloyd passed away in Los Angeles at the remarkable age of 106. His departure marked the close of a career that began in the 1930s and spanned nearly an entire century, an achievement few in the history of entertainment could match. Born in Jersey City in 1914, Lloyd showed an early passion for the performing arts and joined the legendary Mercury Theater led by Orson Welles. His first major role came on Broadway before he made his way to Hollywood, where Alfred Hitchcock cast him as the villain in Saboteur in 1942. His performance, particularly his dramatic fall from the Statue of Liberty, became one of the most iconic moments in early American cinema. Over the decades, Lloyd built a career defined not by fame, but by consistency, intelligence, and longevity. He collaborated with some of the greatest filmmakers in history, including Charlie Chaplin, Jean Renoir, and Martin Scorsese. In addition to acting, he worked as a producer and director, shaping television's golden age through series such as Alfred Hitchcock Presents. His mind remained sharp and his love for storytelling unshaken, even as the entertainment world transformed around him. In the 1980s, a new generation discovered Lloyd through his role as Dr. Osklander on the acclaimed television drama St. Elsewhere. His calm authority and warmth made him a beloved presence for audiences who had never seen his earlier work. Into his later years, he continued to appear in films, most notably in Dead Poets Society, where he portrayed a wise and gentle headmaster. When Norman Lloyd passed away, tributes from actors, directors, and historians alike celebrated his rare legacy. He had lived through every stage of Hollywood's evolution, from silent films to streaming platforms, and had remained active through it all. His story stands as a testament to discipline, curiosity, and enduring passion for the craft. Thank you for staying with us through these timeless stories of Hollywood's golden legends. If you love discovering the lives behind the lights, remember to subscribe for more. Until next time, take care and see you soon.